Okay, and we're live. Hi, Haley.
Hey, can you do the wave? I can't.
Oh, no.
I
Really
think you
bad.
might. No. Can anyone do the wave? Comment yes,
Yes,
no.
comment, and we will include it.
Or the worm. I think that should be my new goal for the rest of 2023 is to learn how to do the worm.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try.
I'm joking. I'm just trying to be entertaining. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, you're already entertaining, especially if you spill something. It's
I
great.
know. Hopefully I won't today.
Immortalized forever.
I
Yeah.
know. How's
So
it going?
oh, sorry. This is why we do it live, because it would just be so many different takes if we were doing this
Yeah, we
pre-recorded.
don't want to edit
Um,
ourselves. It's too much work.
yeah. Well, I was going to say welcome to NA Dossier, but also it's going well. I was telling Haley and our special guest behind the scenes that up until about 2 minutes before getting into the green room, I was wearing a stained t-shirt, no makeup, and then I was like, I got to get myself together for the show. So here I am.
And look at you. You're together. I love the colors on your shirt or dress or
Thank
whatever.
you. Thank you. I was like, I bet Haley's going to wear black, so maybe I'll wear black too, but like with some colors. So
Yeah.
everyone who's here with us today, pop a comment in LinkedIn so that we can show it on the screen. So yeah, how's it going with you in Denver?
Good, just doing the thing, working a lot. As you know, we have Studio Super Cult where we do CPG brand design and photography. So
Mm-hmm.
kind of working on that. And, I always try to stagger. I usually work with 2 brands at a time and I try to stagger them. So wrapping up an identity design and working on a strategy for one. So kind of staggering them so that I'm not designing 2 identities at the same time. So just been up to working and of course, super excited for our episode today to talk about Bennu.
Ben, I
And
think it's Bennu, but
let's ask.
I think it's Bennu.
Okay.
I think we're gonna hear that for sure. We're gonna get confirmation.
Yes, we will. What have you been up to, Laura? I'm curious because you just went on a really long cross-country journey. Now you're back home and settled. How does it feel being back
Well,
home?
it's weird. It's both good because I think I missed very little missed, but I still missed a sense of routine.
Mm,
Everything was different all the time when I was cross country. I missed like something with like my bed, my family, that sort of being home feeling. But it was also really, really exciting to be traveling the country, and I missed that sense of adventure. So
mhm.
um, it just really sort of solidified like how much I value both like home and exploration. So that's something that I think I'm going to continue doing. But yeah, I've been working on a couple of different things since I've been back. Continuing to update my global map, which is just growing and growing. And fun fact, Distill Ventures posted on their LinkedIn, and I don't know if you're familiar with them, Haley, but they're a drinks incubator in the alcohol and non-alcoholic
Cool.
space. And they're based in the UK, and they do some pretty
Mm,
good things. Um, so that was pretty exciting. And then I started a new fractional role. I love that word, fractional. Um,
yeah.
as the director of certifications for a nonprofit called SOBAR, and we work to advocate for equitable adult non-alcoholic beverage options in bars and restaurants, organizations, other nonprofits, just to make sure that there's always something equally as elegant, sophisticated, and good as people who are drinking alcohol. So I've started doing that, and it's been a pretty cool
So
ride. So I'm just doing a
I'm
bunch of
curious,
things.
what does that job entail? Like, what does a day look like doing that job?
Well, it's a couple of hours a day. As I said, it's a fractional role, but basically, I'm talking to like different bars, restaurants, organizations, nonprofits, and telling them about what we do in terms of how we can certify
Hmm.
their bars and restaurants or organizations as being SOBAR certified. And basically what that means is that they've pledged to have equitable non-alc on their menus or at their events, if they're event planners for conferences or whatever. And then we can behind the scenes hook them up with different distributors, help them with menu curation if they have any questions about that, recommend some brands here and there. But it's all about like pledging to have those options and then actually having the options.
I love that.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool so far.
And you're when you're doing that, you're talking to all different bars and restaurants around the country, or like how is that kind of
Well, I mean, all over, but it's a DC area nonprofit, so we're like starting in the DC area and then with the hopes of expanding. So lots of different beverages that we've uncovered in NA Dossier that I can certainly recommend to people.
Absolutely.
Which is a great segue into why we're here. And I don't see any comments from people. Hello, everyone. Tell us where you're tuning in from.
The worm or the wave. Disappointing.
Yeah.
No one's commenting. How sad. Sweet. Well, today we're going over Bennu. Figure out how to say it in a minute.
Yeah, more on that in a sec.
A little bit about them. They're a premium, ready-to-drink herbal supplement brand. Low calorie, mood boosting ingredients, no added sugar, and no artificial sweeteners. Just a quick little rundown. And I have my full box, as I like to present things, in the box it comes in, and then opening it.
But did you chill the whole box, or are you going to try it warm?
I did chill it this time.
Okay. You put the whole box in the fridge. I love it.
I have to do the opening experience, but don't.
I love you for unboxing live, but I'm just like, I need to refrigerate this, and I have limited real estate in my fridge.
That's fine. We help and support each other. I will always have the box as much as I can.
Which is a huge part of this. So I'm glad that you have the box. And just for folks who want to know, the brand that we're talking about again is Bennu, maybe, or Bennu. I think it's Bennu. BennuBev.com. All right, do your unboxing.
Well, I jump in and talk about design. I'm gonna do that, but Laura, I want your first impressions as a not designer to jump into design. I do have one thing to say though when I open this. Okay, so we're gonna open. Okay, so the first thing you see, I just want to say, is this Bennu was created by 3 busy parents who wanted to be better for their kids. I think that's such a heartfelt thing to read the first second you open it. Like, that just tugs on your heartstrings. I think the brand is kind of built around that, but here's what it looks like. I got a little thank you note, cool sticker, and then the collection of all the cans in the box together. So before I even talk about design, I want you to talk about it. How are you feeling? What do you think about this collection, these cans, the colors?
Yeah, I love color, as we know. So I am a big fan of anything that is multicolored. I am not a designer by trade, as you mentioned, but I do have an eye for design. So I love how it's so inviting when you open the box, but I also love a box that the packaging is okay. Like, I'm having trouble with my words, but they've been very sustainable and intentional with the way that they have designed how the product comes to the door. It's in the box that you open up, and it's already displayed that way. Like, what's the term for that? It's already, they're not using an extra box. Like the carrier box is the packaging,
Right.
So I love that. And I love how it automatically tells that story of them being busy parents wanting something for their kids. And I am not a parent, not that I know of, but I have an inner child, and I can be the parent to my inner child.
Yes,
I am probably just as busy. Okay, I can't say that. I'm not just as busy as working parent, but yeah. So you're a dog parent, so you can probably understand to some extent why this is good for others, but it's also good for anyone who has a lot going on. I love this little harmony and chaos.
I love
one
that.
of the things that I love from their website, and then I'm going to let you do your own design deep dive, but I love how they're like, well, we're not going to take your chaos away essentially on the website, but we're going to help you like coexist with it, bring you some balance. So we got something from someone. Yay. Packaging should make it feel like it's your birthday when you open it. Agreed. So agreed. Yep.
Agreed. So the first thing I noticed about the brand and the cans was this lovely color, which is a bit brighter online. Oh, look, you can tell it's my favorite, this orangish, reddish, coralish vibe. Yeah. The first thing I noticed was truly the illustrations, they really stand out. Let me pull out an unwind. This bird is a Bennu or a Bennu.
Okay, I did not know what a Bennu was.
So,
Now we know why there's the bird.
yes, it's an ancient Egyptian deity linked, excuse me,
Ooh.
linked to the sun, creation, and rebirth. He may have been the original inspiration for the phoenix legends that developed in Greek mythology. So that is what this bird represents.
Okay.
So one thing I noticed is the different birds, like the uplifts taking flight, the unwinds, sitting still, and then of course the logo is also of the bird taking flight. So I really like this because it kind of illustrates what's in the can. Wrong ones. And also the brand, it doesn't take it away from being consistent because we have this typography. Like the whole design is consistent, so the bird can change, which I thought was really clever on Michael's part, which we'll invite Michael on in a bit. The story, I always talk about brand storytelling, and I think that the story of parenthood in this brand is unique. I haven't really seen any other brands that have that. There are brands that cater to the parent. I would say Olipop is sort of a brand that caters to families, but I don't see brands specifically saying we're created by busy parents who want to be better for their kids. I think that's just an amazing story to have within the brand. Yeah. And also just loving all the icons,
Yep.
The what's in it, what's not in it, artificial sweeteners. And then we always note like calories and stuff here, but these are 25 calories, I think. Most 35.
Yeah. I really did love, like, it reminded me of our conversation about Gia, how it's not just the design, which is gorgeous, but there's a story. So like we know why the folks at Bennu created their beverage. It was because they're busy parents. They want to be better for their kids. So maybe that gives us a hint to it being a functional beverage, right? They want to be better for their kids, maybe have something that's better for them. And then, I like how you mentioned the bird can change because the rest of the design is consistent. So
yeah, I can never do
that anchor.
And the colors are very approachable, and they also, tell you what's inside. So energy is a bit like, brighter colored. And then of course the palms are going to be blues and greens. So it really kind of indicates what's in it. And yeah, a little bit of the story is also on the back side. And I just think it's great to have that story on the brand. This is, we highlight non-alcoholic beverages, obviously, on NA Dossier. This is a mix between NA and like a tea to me. Like it does say sparkling non-alcoholic adult supplement, but it also feels like it would be in the tea section, not so much being sold as like, hey, this is a substitute for a cocktail, which I think is important to know on NA Dossier, as we're talking about these today.
But this is still what I would call like an adult non-alcoholic functional beverage. So not everything that is NA that we bring on here is like, as my friend Derek Brown says, like an analog. It's not going to be necessarily an analog of beer, of wine, of a spirit. It could be a functional beverage like this. I guess we had we've had some functional on before, but my brain is escaping me. So yeah, I love that there's a lot on the can, but it doesn't feel cluttered. There's a lot of information and storytelling, but it doesn't feel like there's too much. So I feel like I'm talking a lot, and I'm very curious to hear from our special guests.
Let's bring them on. I have lots of questions for Michael, so excited.
So our first person that we're bringing to the stage, Michael Wilson of Coppergate Design.
Hi, everybody.
And sorry, we're doing this very on the fly. Haylee, should we also bring Sam on, or do we?
Yeah, why not? We could bring them both on. I bet, they both have something to say about design.
All right, Sam, come on down.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome. Like Brady Bunch.
So,
love it.
What is everybody drinking today? I think I'm going to open the green tea. I'm curious.
I'm on that track too.
Okay, great.
Ooh.
I've got my cherry lemon verbena. I thought for me, it's best to not have something to wind down in the middle of the day, but that's just me.
Oh, your anxiety wasn't spiking before this? I needed one of these to kind
Only slightly. I'm going to try that.
I'm
going to try it tonight.
That's good.
Oh yeah, that's good.
I automatically smell the cherry, but not in like a way. It's like.
Yeah, the flavor profiles in these were one of the first things that like struck me is
Mm.
Sam's partner Brooke is a former chef and he owns a butcher shop. So flavor, how to balance out all these flavors so they're good from like the beginning to the end was really important. I know, Sam, that was like one of Brooke's major points in the iteration of all the different flavors.
Yes, we went through about 7 iterations of each flavor profile. And
Wow.
thankful for Brooke and his culinary experience. I don't know. I think between Paul and I, our other co-founder, I don't know if we'd be able to nail the flavors as well as Brooke did. So we're very thankful for his experience there.
Yeah, and that was you guys before we started working together, you guys sent me samples and I was like, oh my God, these taste so good. Especially because kava, as an ingredient is like that can be sort of like mouth numbing, you had mentioned, like in its like traditional form. So the fact that all the flavors and how this thing is balanced out, you've kind of sidestepped that, which is sort of a downside of that ingredient, but it just doesn't occur here, which I thought was really cool.
So in the uplift, there's 100 milligrams of caffeine, which is wild.
Yes,
because, like, I think there's something in me that is like, it only recognizes caffeine from coffee. There's just something about like caffeine from other beverages. It doesn't seem to affect me, but we're going to, you know what? I'll come back tomorrow and post in the comments if it actually did affect me.
This has,
I would love to know.
And sorry, I'm interrupting. This has L-theanine in it and all of this other stuff added in. So isn't the idea that this sort of caffeine is supposed to be different than drinking a coffee? It's supposed to be more relaxing and maybe sustaining.
Yes. So I've been using a lot in the copy on social and throughout like our website, steady energy. The L-theanine gives you more of that focus, and the ginseng as well and B12 give you that natural energy boost. So it has that sustainability. It's not the huge plateau, mountain, and then you're crashing, kind of craving that next one. I find myself picking up one of these around noon. I'm still a black coffee drinker in the morning. I haven't tested these out first thing in the morning, I will say, but pre-workout has been great. Like I said, that midday kind of slump where you need a little extra boost, but coffee might give you a jittery feeling. Yeah. Uplift is great for, even with lunch to kind of make sure you're not getting that, kind of food hangover that some of us get with the bigger lunch. So.
And then the first thing I noticed when I tried this was that Himalayan pink salt. Like you can really taste that tiny, tiny bit of that salt. Is that for functionality or is that just a taste?
So I think it's a little bit of both because there is like a hydration factor to that. And we wanted to offset the, kind of other, I won't name any names, but other energy drinks currently that are using a lot of artificial sweeteners and give you that aftertaste of kind of like almost syrupy medicinal. Yeah. So I think with the Himalayan salt, it's kind of helping balance out the natural sugars that are occurring. Because all of our cans only have 2 to 5 grams of naturally occurring sugar. So nothing added, no words you can't pronounce.
Which is very amazing and somewhat unique that there's no stevia, there's no monk fruit, there's none of that. It has a sweetness to it, not overpowering, but it's still really low in calories. So that's a huge win for this non-parent. Still appreciative.
Love it. We say plant parents, everybody's a parent to some extent.
You know what? I have thriving plants. Yep. Okay. I'm a
caregivers of all kinds.
Everyone's taking care of somebody, or something. So
just to note, it doesn't have monk fruit or anything, but it is sweetened by like pear juice in this one and passion fruit concentrate, that kind of thing. So that's where we're getting that tiny bit of sweetness. I'm curious about so Michael on LinkedIn posted the process of working with is it Bennu or Bennu? How do you guys say it?
Bennu. Yeah.
Bennu. So Michael, can you tell us about your design process for the cans from like the first iterations, which you did post online, to like where it ended up and how it ended up here?
Sure. Anytime I work with any client, the first thing we do is sort of like long discussion process so I can get the story behind the brand, what makes it tick. We look at, the competitive landscape and see where they fit into it, try and find a lane specific for them.
Mm-hmm.
And what makes them different, what makes them stand out. And there's always something that comes out of that process. I call it the blueprint process, but something pops out of that every single time. And for this one, as we kind of kept going and going and going, it just kind of kept coming back to me like, this is for parents. You guys are parents. I'm a parent. You guys are parents. Sam, quit drinking to focus on being a better parent, which a lot of people do at our age. Like there's tons of people doing that. I was like, this is your story. And if you're going to go represent your brand, you need to sort of be able to tell that story again and again and again without burning out. So it's part of what I do in that blueprint process is, what does the customer want? What is the founder telling? And then the can is sort of the linchpin between the two, so they can kind of meet up in the middle. So once we figured that out, and it's all natural, it's made with plants, so it wasn't going to be like some sporty energy drink or some like apothecary cocktail. It's all natural. And one of the words we use was grounded. We landed on this word grounded in our brand discovery process. And that kind of unlocked what I was going to do visually with this. So it's got a bit more of a natural feel. Like you said, Bennu is like an ancient Egyptian tale. It's sort of like the origin story of the phoenix. There was an iteration of these cans that had a heron on it before. The heron is the state bird of Maryland. They're based in Maryland. Bennu's a bird story, so that we kind of like, we're going to do something with a bird here, but we need to make it work properly. So all of those elements kind of combine to using the bird as focal point. Everything feeling a little bit more natural, a little more hand-drawn and less computerized, to sort of make it feel like everything else in the energy drink aisle specifically is sort of like sleek and sharp. And this is a little bit softer around the edges. Thinking of our ideal customer as a busy mom. I wanted this to sort of appeal to moms, but not exclude sort of everybody. So it's a little softer than those other energy drinks. And we just had a bunch of versions of cans that had those natural elements, and this one just kind of fit the mold the best. This one just felt right to us as we looked through everything. So as we went back and forth, you kind of go on gut feeling. You check everything you're doing against all your discovery process and the visual targets you set and all those milestones. And we just we landed on this design being the one that was going to be the most appealing, and we just refined it and moved forward.
And Sam, did you have the name of the brand when you came to Michael, or how did you guys come up with that together?
Yes, we had the name.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And like Michael touched on it, he nailed it. We always wanted our story to be at the center of the brand. So to come to find Bennu, understand its origin story, recreation, rebirthing from oneself. There was a lot of correlation between my decision to step away from alcohol, and I'm sure like many folks that have done the same, that renewal process that starts, it's not always pretty, right? And then also that bird being a symbol of our hometown and where we all met and were raised and, grew up was really important to us too. So Michael nailed it as always. And we just rolled with it. And I think our socials also kind of reflect our story and sticking to our target audience.
What are some of your fans and loyal customers like, and what do they like most about both you at the brand and the liquids?
Well, I think for the liquids, we've gotten a lot of great feedback with Unwind about better sleep. A great replacement for wine, which is kind of where we started with Unwind, was like as a nightcap, as a, dinner drink replacement. So we're not necessarily saying you should have Unwinds, when you're out on the weekends, but if we can get you to reevaluate those habits that you have during the week, which for me were the habits that kind of snowballed. So having Unwind after work instead of that wine, I think people are getting, through their work week a lot easier and with a clearer head. So we've gotten a lot of great feedback in that department. For Uplift, pre-workout has been very consistent. People really love the way they feel while they're working out after drinking an Uplift. And we have, a lot of emergency services folks loving our drinks during long shifts. And then going back to Unwind, we have the same set of folks talking about, you know, getting off those long shifts, having something that can calm them down and get them to sleep, you know, at the 8 a.m., 9 a.m. when they're getting home from an overnight shift. So those are those unexpected customers that, going back to our target audience, weren't who we're necessarily aiming for. But, you know, a lot of those people are parents too. And my father is an emergency services person. So it really hits home for me as well that we are serving that community kind of without even realizing it at first. So that's been really impactful for us.
Yeah, I think that tagline, when we landed on Harmony and Chaos, we had talked about parenting and like how to get through it. And it's like, you can't stop the roller coaster. You just have to like kind of hang on and do your best, right? Like that's what a lot of parents go through. And then when you take that Harmony and Chaos, there's so many other people maybe who aren't parents that also have like super chaotic lives. And it did bring in a lot more people into the brand, even though we started so specifically on parents, specifically on like busy moms. Then the next circle out is like busy parents, and then busy professionals, and then just people who have somewhat of a chaotic life or a lot of stress. So it expanded out nicely without having to do much to change the message.
I have a follow-up question on that, Michael, and for you as well, Sam, and maybe for you as well, Haylee, with the brands that you develop, but is it usually better to go in that specifically when you're designing a whole sort of brand story, like so specific of a target for who this beverage is for, or is it sometimes better to have something that has multiple applicabilities?
I think there's probably a couple different theories of the case on that. When I work with a brand, like an emerging brand, you have to start somewhere, right? You can't talk to everybody. You're going to be talking to like one person at a time.
Yeah.
There's only so many events you can go to. You have to really pick and choose your battles. I think it's better to focus very narrow, very early, and go as deep as you can with that ideal customer base. That Venn diagram that person has with like lots of other people is there's lots of overlap. So if you can kind of really target one specific audience and get a nice following within that audience, it's a little easier to expand out from there. But if you try to be everything to everyone, you just get lost in the mix. So something like this, where like we said, you open it up and that saying put right there on the box is super important. Those mailer boxes went out to all the initial customers. First people bought them, everyone got that same box. We wanted to make sure it was connecting with parents. This is for parents, because we wanted to carve out that niche and make it really specific. And then sort of go a little bigger on like chaos or busy or hectic in general. But yeah, I always like my clients to start narrow and spend as much time sort of getting to know those customers as they can before they start broadening scope. What do you think, Haylee?
Yeah, so when I do a brand, I always do one brand persona. So it's always our one target audience. It's someone that's, say they're 26, they're female, they have these stressors, they love these things, this is their personality. Excuse me. And I know that is obviously the way to go to carve out that niche, but also I reassure my clients that other people will come too, right? It's not like they'll know, oh, this is only for a 26-year-old, so I can't buy it. We are just aiming really well at that one target audience to create that story and that vision. And then of course, other people like you guys found emergency responders, maybe you didn't design the brand for them, but now all of a sudden you're seeing that they resonate as well. So I think, it seems scarier than it is. And it's always a good decision to create that persona.
I feel like you sell more if you focus. You actually, by being sort of by focusing on one market, you actually sell more at the beginning than trying to be everything to everyone. And like, you're not going to compete with Red Bull, who's sort of ubiquitous.
Yeah.
They started narrow. Everyone starts narrow, and you don't see it because the brands that you are looking up to have already gone through this process and broadened out and opened it up to this wider audience.
And if you think about it, Red Bull still is narrow. I mean, aren't they associated with like extreme sports and like dirt biking and that sort of thing? Like, so they are still narrow. It's just other people have adopted it, or they've liked a piece of that story that they wanted to hold on to.
Or the mainstream knows that that's what they're about, even if, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. And I think for us, like the passion behind our story and us all being parents makes, the messaging authentic. Like I could talk for days about the struggles of being a mom and, running a home and things like that. And I know my two co-founders can talk about fatherhood all day too. So I think having that story be narrow, but it be so personal to us felt right. It felt like the right choice.
It was
because you have to live in your brand all the time, right, Sam? Like
Yeah.
you're doing stuff for social, like you have to be constantly generating these messages. So you want to talk about something that's personal and sort of built into your life. If you stretch too far to try to appeal to a customer base that's just nothing like you, you're probably going to fail either by missing the mark or burning out, trying too hard to hit the mark.
Authenticity gets lost.
Yeah. At the beginning, these brands really do sort of spring out of the founder's story. I tell people, like, your story means everything. You probably underestimate it because you've told it a million times, but that first customer has never heard it before. So it's going to be fresh to a lot of people, and you just you need to stay in that space to keep communicating it over and be consistent with it.
Also, the authenticity thing too, like that sells because people want to engage with authentic brands. Maybe not 10 years ago or 20 years ago, but today, especially in something like CPG where so many better for you brands are coming out, they want to have that authentic connection, which I think you probably nailed in that launch,
And that also goes along the lines of, you can have a really good liquid and you can have a really good founder story, but the best kind of brand is the one that brings them both together. So some people are just like, it's all about the liquid. Some people are more like, it's all about the brand and how it makes me feel. But as someone who enjoys taste as well, and I mean, maybe this is like a big fat duh for people, but the best kinds of products are the ones that marry the ingredients and the quality of the liquid with the brand.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask how you came up, Sam, with your flavor profiles. What made you choose the certain ingredients for each sort of mini product line?
So I'll have to give all credit to Brooke on that. I think, with his culinary experience, we wanted to have some flavors that were common, right? Or not super common, but that were recognizable. So we weren't throwing, not only kava, which has its own educational hurdle, but, a bunch of kind of wild flavors that were never really, that people aren't familiar with. So passion fruit green tea specifically, Paul and I are both big green tea folks. So we knew, there's a lot of green tea fans. So we thought adding that tartness with the passion fruit can help mellow out the green tea, and we can hit those folks that already are, comfortable with the flavor of green tea. Dragon fruit chamomile, kind of the same idea. We added more of a funky fruit in the dragon fruit, but then, came back to that tea that people are familiar with. So they feel a little more comfortable taking that jump. Blueberry lavender, I kind of joke sometimes with unwinds. Our blueberry lavender is almost like a red wine, and our dragon fruit chamomile is like a white wine. They see kind of like that. Blueberry lavender is a little bit richer and deeper. So we wanted to cater to the palates of, folks that might like a more of a deep, flavorful drink, and then someone that prefers something a little more lighter and refreshing. And then cherry lemon verbena, I am not a cherry person. I always associate it with the syrup that you would drink when you were young and sick. So it was almost a challenge for Brooke, right? Like, let's see if we can get some cherry haters to do a convert. And I think we did. We've actually gotten a lot of DMs about folks saying, I'm not a cherry person, but I love the cherry lemon verbena. The lemon kind of helps balance it out. And it's tart cherry juice. Yeah. So it's not giving you that childhood medicine feel. It's, for lack of better.
That's a relief.
It's giving, but I think a lot of people get a little bit worried about cherry right out of the gate. Yeah. I know I'm one of them. So cherry lemon verbena is also kind of an homage to like the cherry limeades that we enjoyed at, what's that place, guys? Sonic.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have another brand question for Michael. So we see the uplift and unwind have different birds. So I think my question is, how did you choose the actual logo, which is the bird in flight as well? Like, how did you choose the stance of it for the final logo?
I mean, you kind of touched on it at the beginning before we were brought in. We know we wanted to use the bird as the icon. The name's pretty unique, so we knew that would sort of kind of stand alone on its own in a lot of cases. And we wanted to have this bird as an icon. You know, I was thinking for like the avatar on social media, it's always nice to have that little icon as opposed to trying to squeeze a full name in there. So we had that, the icon that you see on that sticker was on both cans at the beginning. And when we looked at it for Unwind, it didn't make sense. And for everything you said, because everything else in the system is so locked in and sort of and repeats, we're like, well, for a new brand, there's no rules really. We can break the rules. Bennu is the brand. It's represented in the word mark at the top. Why don't we just play with the bird and activate it? Because, you know, it's a character. Why don't we make it more of a character rather than like a logo, capital L? So we decided to have it represent the functionality of these two beverages as well, because we needed a way to communicate that functionality or reiterate it again. Unwind and uplift are pretty clear, but you kind of get that, and then you get the bird, it's sort of an additional, and then the calm or the energy, it's a third mark. So you kind of repeat that message 3 times on the can in about half a second. So I think it just really drilled home what these do. And then so somewhere between the bird flying and the bird sort of resting is the bird taking off. So the overarching Bennu Bevco brand is that bird in between. And then each function sort of has its own icon. It just purely based on function. Yeah, and then the colors, all the colors were based off of, yes, the feeling, but also the flavors. So based off the ingredients inside, we decided on the color palettes. But yeah, we figured we'd just break that rule and not just have like the exact same image on every single can.
Right.
I think it makes it stand out a little bit. And once you see it, it's kind of interesting and it makes you think a little bit. And it's just one of those, to stand out, you need to break some rules. And that seemed like a good one to break for us.
Yeah, and they go together really well as a collection, which is super important and sometimes an afterthought. I noticed, you know, looking at some Art Deco design, there's a little bit of Art Deco feel to this. Obviously, it's pared down. It's very pared down, but the structure, there's a lot of birds and their wings open in Art Deco, and it just reminds me of that a bit looking at it.
Yeah, that's a bit in there. There's also some just sort of like almost like primitive cave painting kind of stuff we were looking at that kind of felt like that to make it sort of feel grounded.
Yeah.
Grounded, but then the Art Deco stuff, a hint of that because that's sort of elevated and upscale.
Yeah.
This is sort of a premium brand, without it being like Mercedes premium, but it is elevated. So yeah, there's some combination of those ingredients that came out in this design that I think gives people that feeling when they glance at it.
I saw some of your sketches, Michael, in your case study, which I posted in the LinkedIn event for people. Can every brand designer draw?
I don't know. Good question. I don't know, but
really impressive.
I sort of need to get the ideas out, or just stop myself from jumping to the first idea that pops into my head. So if I have an idea in my head and I just jump on the computer, I won't do multiple versions or do a proper exploration. But if I have a piece of paper in front of me and I force myself to get off the computer and sketch stuff out, it forces me to work through more ideas because I want to fill up like 5 or 6 pages of stuff here. So let me push outside of my comfort zone. And that's what it does for me anyway. And yeah, and then when you're drawing, like, especially a character, you wind up screwing it up a bunch of times. You're never going to get it right the first time. So you have to draw it like 50 times until you get it right.
Glad it's not just me.
I was curious about you, Haylee. Do you sketch as well? Is that important for your process?
Yeah, I will sketch oftentimes. They aren't immaculate sketches though. And I love sketching because I like to get the bad ideas out. Because the first ideas, people might disagree, might be the best, but usually they're the worst. And you just have to push them out, get them out. So you're done thinking about them. You know, that's how I go about it. But definitely a lot of sketching. And if I were to do a character, which I rarely ever do, I would have to sketch it a million times over and over again.
Yeah.
What about these illustrations here? Did you design all of these, or did you use stock for some of these?
No, that was based off imagery that we had found and then traced and assembled like a puzzle to fit that box. We've also then take that design, those sort of all the ingredients. Those are all the different flowers, plants, and ingredients that are in the two beverages.
Huh.
And we've taken those and used them in social media. So uploaded those as little elements in Canva so Sam can keep the brand intact and consistent. And we have 6-pack C clips that are coming out that we've repurposed that design to fit around for 6-packs that are coming out. So that pattern was specifically designed for that box, and then I've wound up using it in a lot of different places. It's just it fits a lot of different uses. So it's lived on.
And I love that it has, they're all Easter eggs because they all, like Michael said, represent the ingredients in our cans.
And I love the overlap.
People can probably identify them.
I don't know what any of these are, but it's not because they don't look like what they are. I'm just not educated on the ingredients. But love that overlap, Michael. Props.
Little tiny one. Yeah, I had to get one in there.
Small details like that designers.
I think I had a few more in there, and it was too overlapped, and I had to pull it back a little bit because it was like starting to hide stuff.
Yeah, that makes
sense. Yeah, anytime I could layer things.
You mean this bit that's an overlap?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
again, just the right amount of wrong. Like you have to break a rule for people to notice something, right? That's when pattern disruption, and then you go, oh, I see it, and that's what draws your eye in. So those little things, here and there.
I should know this actually, but Michael and or Sam and or Haylee, I was trying to figure out the name of the word for and I should know this, for the type of packaging that is like both the shipper, the mailer, and how the product is like, how it comes to you. So like you're not using multiple pieces of packaging. It's very sustainable. Is there a type of word for this kind of mailer? Honest to God, I should know this.
I think it's just 4-pack mailer. So those boxes come in 2 parts. So the piece that holds the cans comes flat.
We roll it up.
So we have a fun little way to fold it, which took a couple tries when we first got those boxes. We're all like, now it's like I can do it in my sleep. So a quick fold for that, and then they just fit so snugly. Like Michael said, we wanted to keep them secure, but not lose design. Not lose that excitement. Like a guest said, like it should feel like your birthday. We wanted to go with that.
Yes.
I think we expanded our 6 and 12-pack offerings, which are actually now live on our website starting today. So if you have a single flavor that you love, you can now order it in a larger quantity. We're going to have to move away from that secure 4-pack box, which is kind of sad, but also, I think we're kind of answering the customer as far as requesting these multiple single flavors. So to expand our offerings, I think, we'll figure out shipping and see how it all goes. We've already got a system in place, so we think we'll fare well. I might do a test run to myself to make sure that our
gets there intact.
Wrapping is effective.
Yeah, that was an interesting process coming up with that box, because we had talked about doing sort of your standard, like the sort of box you'd see on a grocery store shelf, just like the thin cardboard standard 4-pack box, and then putting that in a bigger box with maybe like some spring form and some custom tape and stickers on the outside of like a regular brown box. But they also knew, like, part of their strategy was to send this out to lots of different influencers and sort of use it as a marketing tool. So we combined the marketing tool, the mailer box, with just a really secure way to get liquid to folks, whether they're sort of have a huge Instagram following or they just bought a variety pack online. We wanted everyone to get the same experience. So everyone felt like they were getting a special experience as like early adopters and people who were kind of getting on board with this brand early on. And that's worked out really well. I mean, the amount of unboxing videos that people have posted is pretty staggering. So it's really worked to sort of spread the message about what this is about, because so many people do exactly what you did, Haylee. They lift it up and they show the camera exactly what that little tagline is, which tells the whole brand story in one short sentence. So So that kind of came out of the marketing budget, but then doubled as, well, we have to pay for shipping anyway. So why don't we make the shipping box beautiful?
Mm-hmm.
It kind of solves all those problems. And we worked with a great company actually right down the street here in Charlotte, who, we had searched around. How many places did we call, Sam, for like different packaging? So we looked around for tons of box people.
I feel like I've tucked that into a far place.
And then we found these guys and we looked at the quote. We're like, is that right? There must be a typo. There's no way it can be that. That's way less than everybody else.
Quantity orders that get you,
Yeah.
I was curious because it seems like these types of boxes are expensive for lots of brands.
Not for my guys down here, and I'm gonna gatekeep that one, Haley. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was about to
say offline. But I mean, that's part of building out a brand too, right? Like, is having that special experience. It's beyond just the can. It's every time you interact with it, you want that serotonin level to jump up a little bit. Every time you do that, when they open the can, the beverage does taste just a little bit better. And that was like, we talked a lot about that during this process. Is the liquid super good? How can we enhance it? How can we tell the story? How can we bring that personality to the can, to the box, to the website, to everything Sam does on social, to all the events they go to? It kind of has to all fit together. And they're doing it. I mean, Bennu's doing it amazingly well. So it's working very nicely.
And I think, including the handwritten thank you card, those come with every order. We've had folks that have ordered 6-7 times. They get a thank you card, and we, keep track. If you are a repeat customer, we don't just say, we hope you love Bennu. We say, thank you for your, continued support. Like we want to stay that grounded. We want to stay that focused on the folks that, have been with us since the beginning and that are new. We want everyone to feel special when they open that box.
Yeah. I mean, that's the essence of branding, right? It's reputation building, and it's about what you do and how you interact with your customers as much as it is about the liquid and what it looks like. But at the end of the day, Sam, what you do and what your other co-founders do together when dealing with anybody, whether it's retailers, influencers, directly with customers, that's what the brand is, right? So part of it was making sure that your personality fits into the brand so that all that stuff works together and it all stays consistent. But it is really like the reputation you guys build from a customer service standpoint.
How often do people make pronunciation errors? Or how often every day do people have trouble pronouncing?
A fair amount, but it's a quick, my maiden name was very hard to pronounce. So I actually am built for this. I'm built for, not being offended, or that first instinct to be like, again, so no, and it actually gives us an opportunity to, softly correct and then go into explain why we chose Bennu. Cause that's usually the next question is, how do you pronounce it? And then, well, what does that mean?
Yeah. So that might actually be really brilliant.
If somebody has to ask, right, then it's going to get lodged in their brain. They'll never forget it. And it's sort of like when if it's a weird name and you mess it up and you feel bad about it, like when somebody corrects you, you get it right. It's cemented forever. So it's just off enough that if people struggle with just a tiny bit, it's not embarrassing, but it's enough to lodge it. So I don't think that wasn't intentional. That's just sort of something that's happened after you guys started working with it, right?
Yeah.
And it is a real word, because a lot of brands are made up words. So this is a real word that people can look up on the internet as well, and learn how to pronounce it. It's not like a totally made up word that you're making the pronunciation on it too, which makes a big difference, obviously,
Yes.
It's real. Well, this has been really great. Laura, do you have any other questions, or does anyone watching have any questions we can drop in?
Yeah, please feel free to continue dropping comments as we wrap up. But I think, and we should have done this when we first started out, Haley. But for anyone tuning in for the first time, if you don't know what NA Dossier is, I am 100% booze free and the founder of Zero Proof Nation, which is a non-alc resource hub. And my co-founder, Haley, is...
I'm a mindful drinker, so this is right up my alley. And I am a brand strategist and designer.
And so together we talk about brand, design, taste, community. We definitely touched a lot on community, all of the points during our chat today. So if you're just here for the first time, thank you so much. This is our own handwritten thank you to you. And yeah, I'm even me, and I have a lot of knowledge about this space, about functional ingredients, but I had my own little journey in terms of getting educated on kava. And so I'm really excited actually to try one of the unwinds. And I think it was Soberish Mom on TikTok who mentioned that she tried an unwind before bed and she slept really, really blissfully. So I'm going to attempt to do that this evening. I don't have sleep issues, but I certainly would love even deeper sleep, maybe less weird dreams. We'll see what happens.
More weird dreams, maybe.
More weird dreams. That's true.
Ones,
That's something memorable, I guess. Yeah.
Keep us updated. I'll definitely try and uplift or unwind later as well.
Yeah, we'll come back to everyone, and then we'll definitely post this later as well. But if you want to try Bennu, use NA Dossier for 10% off of your order. Yay! Thank you, everyone. And any final words from Sam, Michael, or Haylee?
This has been a blast. Thank y'all so much.
Been great, man. Thank you guys for shining a little spotlight on Bennu. That's an awesome brand. I'm really proud of them.
To wrap it up, I love this brand. I think it stands out so much in its category. And I think Michael and the team together did an amazing job on the branding. So great job, guys. I loved talking about it and digging into it a bit more.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us, man.
Guys.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us, everyone. And we'll see you next time.
See you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.